Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Great American Little Town podcast. We are very excited tonight. We have a new place and a new studio. Same co-host, by the way. This is Dan.
Same great co-host.
Today is Wednesday, June the 25th, and we want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. We have been on a little bit of a hiatus for, I don't know, like over a month, probably, right?
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Yeah, so took a little break, moved locations. We're shooting from our new place. It's very exciting for us. So if we run into any technical difficulties tonight, we hope we won't, but
growing pains. Just call them growing pains.
Right.
Yeah.
We're growing. So yeah. But we are definitely excited.
We're growing pains in a much smaller space.
Yeah, exactly. So anyways, so let's talk about the studio a little bit. We gotta
You gonna do your thing?
My what?
Your little speech that you gotta read?
Oh, the speech. Okay.
You gotta do your little speech.
Okay, Mr. Attorney.
I just want to make sure we're legal.
Yeah, all right. So anyways, the Great American Little Town podcast is an independently operated broadcast, and any statements or views expressed by the host or its guests should be considered independent of the city of Galt unless otherwise noted. This podcast is neither sponsored or approved by the city of Galt as an official city news source. The views and discussions of this broadcast are solely that of myself and my co-host and are intended as an independent source of news and for entertainment only.
You know, this is like when I was in high school, I had a flat top with a mullet. And this is kind of like that. You got to have business in the front and then party in the back. That's what the podcast. You got to get the business out of the way in the front, and then we can get to the party.
This is the fine print.
Yeah,
exactly. So again, introductions. Myself, Sean, your host, and I forgot to skip
the great co-host Dan.
Yeah, this is not just regular Dan. This is retired Dan.
Yeah, damn right.
Dan retired Dan. We did give you like a cool retirement name, like
yeah.
I don't know. I want to think of a nickname.
It hasn't even been 24 hours yet, but boy, does it feel good.
I bet it does. Must be nice. You went from tension to pension.
That's right. Yeah. You bet.
Oh, that's funny.
I have a little cutout of me. I'm gonna bring in. We're gonna post up here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Hope everybody likes our new digs right here. We have some sponsors now, so we're giving them each a plug. You'll see some logos mixed in with our stuff. I feel like we should be like NASCAR racers. We have like jackets patches.
Yeah, yeah. Well, pay me enough, I'll wear them.
Oh, that was funny. So
I'm on a fixed income now. You know, I'll take all the money I can get from any source I can take it from.
Yeah, Dan's very focused on money. He always likes to take the subject back to money.
I don't like being broke.
Yeah, I don't think anybody does. Anyways, so for those of you that might be just watching our show for the first time, this is episode 15, I believe. So we do have
16, I think.
16. Oh,
yeah.
16. So we have 15 episodes that are actually on our YouTube channel. You can go to YouTube and search Great American Little Town. You can watch any of our past episodes, and there's some really good ones. We have a plethora of guests. We have some very serious topics. We have some very fun topics. We have some really silly talk about this, that, and the other thing. But anyways, you can watch any of them there. So want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. Just a little recap on what our show is kind of about, if you haven't figured it out. The purpose of our show is kind of just to provide a place to discuss things about Galt, city events, city news, some local chatter about what's happening, maybe some
try to keep it local.
Yeah, try to keep it local. I mean, we're definitely going to talk about some stuff that is not directly specific to Galt sometimes, but we feel that every topic we'll have on the show will be something that Galt people can relate to. So we definitely have some items planned for some of our upcoming episodes that are going to be very good topics, but may not be specifically just to the people of Galt.
Yeah.
But we think they're entertaining, and we've decided to have them. So we are doing a show every week now. So no longer twice a month. We are going to be every week. So every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. If you are absolutely bored out of your mind and you have nothing else to do, or you're in a show hole on Netflix, or you have nothing, you can tune in and we will try to keep you from falling asleep. Or maybe we'll put you to sleep. Dan?
I have I'll use my bedroom voice.
Dan can do audiobooks. So that's what you should do when your retirement is audiobooks.
Yeah. Well, you know, we're going to this weekly podcast thing because I have a lot of free time now.
Right.
So, you know, I know Sean's busy, but
No
you
free
know?
time here. I can tell you that much.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, my plates. I don't have a full plate. I have mini plates, and they're all full.
Yeah. People ask me, people say, what are you doing on this date? And I said, I don't know. Let me check my calendar. Oh, it's free.
Yeah, whatever.
It's free.
All right, enough about that. So, well, since we're on that subject, you mentioned that you wanted to say something a little bit more about your retirement, and I told you I would give you. Let me see. You want to start the clock right now? I'm just kidding.
Yeah. I'm on a time limit. No, a few weeks ago, I went to dinner with a friend, and they were talking about.
First off,
I'll tell them. Yeah, I've been a correctional officer, and I had it all figured out last night. I used this little app. 28 years, 8 months, and 12 days that I was a correctional officer for, and it's not for the state of California. It was for local sheriff's departments. So I worked 6 years in Plymouth County, and I've worked.
So you were a sheriff.
Well, it worked for the sheriff's department.
The sheriff's in town. Yeah. We have the sheriff here.
But I did 6 years in Plymouth. I did 22 years in Yolo County, and so that's where I've just retired from. And but somebody asked me. They said, "What are you going to do after you retire?" That's the question everybody asks. What are you going to do? And I told them, I said, for the first couple of months, not a damn thing.
Like nothing.
And they said, and I hadn't thought about it at all, but they said, well, you're probably going to need time to decompress.
Oh yeah.
And that thought hadn't really come into my mind until they said it. And so then I started thinking about it, and I told them, I said, you're absolutely right. Because unlike a fireman or unlike a police officer who all have highly stressful jobs as well, when you're working in a jail for 12 hours, you're constantly at that alert level. Like you're always waiting for, whereas, police officers can go from call to call. Firemen, they can, if they don't have a lot of calls that shift, luckily, maybe. I know our local firemen are extremely busy though. But it's just a little different. And so the decompression part of it, though, I think is going to be, that's what I'm looking forward to for the next is. And I told somebody, I said, I need to return back to who I am and who you knew me as and who everybody that's known me all my life is.
There's no going back.
Oh no.
The Dan of the old days is gone.
But
the glory days are over.
Surprised. You'd be surprised in this line of work, you become two different people. There's a person I am at work, and there's a person I am, which I'm sure a lot of jobs are that way. But it's even more so. It's almost like being Jekyll and Hyde. And so I'm getting rid of one and just living as the other. So hopefully it's the right one.
So for those of you that
poor Jen.
Yeah. No, I mean
she's gonna have me at home all the time now.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Well, she's gonna find something for you to do. There'll be a honey-do list.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. So for those of you that might be watching that are corrections officer that can relate officers or you're in law enforcement of some sort, and this discussion would kind of relate to, like you relate to this discussion. We are going to have a future episode where we're going to have one of our guests will be a corrections officer who actually just retired as well, a friend of mine. I'm going to have him on the show, and would like you and him to just kind of talk about the profession and some of the difficulties with law enforcement in recruiting and all that kind of stuff. There's a big discussion, and there's a lot of people in Galt that are in law enforcement. So I think there's a lot of people that will relate to that topic. So anyways, we'll let you know when that episode's going to be, but yeah.
But between now and then, I'm retired.
Yeah. Lawn mowing. What else? No lawn mowing?
No. Okay. Cocktails and cigars.
Oh, cocktails. By the way, you'll see as we go through the show, you're going to see Dan drinking from a can. Now, that drink and that can may or may not be alcohol. I don't know. He was over there in the corner, like doing something I didn't see. And
it's just water today.
But
I promise.
Just water today? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, as I mentioned, we have some sponsors now. So I want to tell you, so we moved to a new studio. So we've collaborated with the Galt Chamber of Commerce to move to the chamber offices, and we've set up a studio in one of their offices, which belongs to us now. And that was all made possible by some of our local businesses who came on as sponsors for our show. And we'll be mentioning those sponsors throughout the show. And not tonight, but in upcoming episodes, we will actually give a little more in-depth description about each of our sponsors and mention more about them. But tonight, I just want to give a quick shout out right now, just since we're breaking the ice on this, to, of course, the Galt Chamber of Commerce, to Velvet Grill and Creamery, to the Chandler Gross Realty Group, to Frontier Performance Lubricants, River Rock Brewery, the offices of Parker Realty, NorCal Spreading, Azevedo Quality Harvesting, and last but not least, Sean Farrell. So thank you to all of you. Very generous, very generous.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, because this would not be possible without you. And all these people many of these people are actually generous in the community all the time on a regular basis. So we'll be talking more about these sponsors a little bit more on the show and Ashi in future episodes. So
the Galt has great businesses, great local businesses sponsor so many different events, so many different things, especially with kids and things like that. Thanks for sponsoring us as well. I'm like a big kid anyway. So, but one thing people may not know is the history of the Galt Chamber, and
oldest business in town
before the city council, before the city was incorporated, and before the city council, the Galt Chamber actually kind of ran the city. Like they made a lot of the decisions.
They did. I've seen that in some old articles and the way they talked about it. It's like, why would they be making
the chamber was very much in control back
they
in
were
the
kind
day.
of they were kind of the first organization to make decisions for the city on behalf of the city before the city was incorporated, before you had things like city councils or any of that stuff. Right.
Yeah. And some of the names that people, some of the old names people knew, they were some of those business owners who were members of the chamber prior to Galt being incorporated. So it's kind of interesting, some of the history, if you ever look back into it and stuff. And we can have a discussion on that later too.
And we will have a guest from the chamber on probably more than once and talk more in depth about the chamber. And but you were mentioning them being a powerful entity and making decisions. This was not like, people are like, oh, that was like in the 1800s. No, we're talking about like in the 1940s, 1930s, like up into there where they were still.
Well, Galt was incorporated, 1946? Yeah. That's the same year my dad was born. That's how I know that.
Yeah. Which is weird. Elk Grove was only incorporated in like 2000 or something like that. You know that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was really.
I remember as a kid when Elk Grove wasn't a city.
Yeah.
You remember?
Yeah. That's just weird that they're incorporated so late.
And how big they've gotten.
Yeah. So tonight's show, we are actually going to be focusing. We're going to talk about a lot of things, but our main topic as we get through the evening is going to be about the Galt 4th of July celebration and activities that are happening. It's coming up. We thought it would be fitting for us to kind of talk about that. We're a week away. It's really like the Super Bowl for Galt, honestly, I feel, with all the things that happen. So we're going to be talking about that stuff, and we're going to be sharing some flyers up on our screen of some activities that are happening and talking about how you can be involved and what activities are going on so you don't miss them. And it's funny, somebody, and they're probably new to Galt, so I don't want to throw rocks, but somebody posted, I think maybe a couple of days ago, they're like, hey, does Galt do anything for the 4th of July? And it was like, people were like, it was like cricket sounds. So it was crazy that people I was like, what? But a lot of people move here all the time and they don't know.
But I can tell you, well, and we'll get into it later, but I would tell you about 16, 17 years ago, I went to what was supposed to be the 4th of July parade in town, and it was kind of sad.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a little bit. We're going to talk about old parade stuff.
From where we were to what it became to where we are today. Yeah. It's kind of a roller coaster, so it'll be interesting.
Yeah. So we'll be talking about that here shortly. And also, I want to mention something for those of you that might be just jumping in. We're going to do this really cool giveaway that we're going to be doing. And I actually might as well just talk about it right now because I want to make sure that any of you that get a little bored with our show and want to jump off. So we are going to be giving away a $100 gift card to Walmart. Not tonight, but we are going to be giving it away in a raffle. And so how you can enter the raffle, and I'll cover this again later in the show, is each episode that we show each week between now and July 23rd, we will be giving a phrase or word for the night. All you simply do is just email that word and your name, like my name is Sean Farmer. Here's the word for tonight. Email that to greatamericanlittletown@gmail.com, or you can message us on Instagram. We have an Instagram page now. If you didn't know that, you can check us out on Instagram under Great American Little Town. Send us the word for that evening to that, and we will enter your name into the raffle. Every episode you watch, there'll be a different word. If you email us again with the new word, we'll give you another entry into the raffle. On July 23rd, we will draw a name on the show out of a hat or a box or something, And so the more times your name's in there, the better chance you have of winning $100 Walmart gift card. So we wanted to just do something fun for the viewers. So tonight's word is
phrase.
And I'm not going to tell you yet because you have to watch the show a little longer. So we're going to say it in a little while. So stay tuned.
So, can I participate?
No, you can't.
I want $100 gift card.
You what?
I want to win the gift card.
That's really well. If you win it, you'd have to donate it.
You know what?
He's joking. He's not going to be entered.
I'll use my undercover name.
Oh, what's that?
Can't tell you.
Dano. Okay, Dano. All right, moving on. So what are we going to talk about next? So we want to do little segments, kind of, and I think one of the segments we're going to try out is, what's going on in the news today? Like outside of Galt, just spending a couple minutes on the topic. I don't know what's going on that you've heard of lately that think's worth mentioning.
Weather.
Oh, that's right. How like back east?
Oh, back my sister who's watching. Hi, Deb.
Hello.
My sister lives in North Dakota. And they just had on Friday, they had this like once in a lifetime weather phenomenon that came through. And there's a word to it. I don't remember what it was, but like,
hot?
No, it created tornadoes.
Oh, yeah.
There was like 12 tornadoes that touched down throughout the state.
So they give it like a word like that. They have El Nino and they have atmospheric river. They have all these fancy terms they make up. It's something like that.
Yeah, it was something. It was like a storm that came across and was turning in different. I don't know. It was crazy. Anyways, but I'll tell you how I knew it was serious. I knew it was serious because I got a text from my sister that said that they went down to the basement. Now, if you know people that live in North Dakota and have lived there a long time, weather has to get really bad for some of those people.
Because they're
now, if I'm there and it's like 20-mile-an-hour wind, I go to the basement.
Right.
But if you live there and but anyways, and it actually there was 3 deaths from this storm that hit back there, unfortunately, and it was pretty severe in places, and so but luckily the damage wasn't worse and the people weren't there wasn't more people seriously.
But they had this huge heat wave going on in the Midwest. It was like 99 degrees in like Philadelphia yesterday or the day before, and they're talking about like all across like New York City. All these
from the
areas
north to the south,
massive,
all the way across there.
Yeah.
But go ahead. Yeah.
I was going to say, what about that crazy weather that happened in Tahoe?
Right.
Like it was people were out of their boats. It was kind of like nice weather in the morning. And then this crazy weather system came in. They had like snow flurries and then like, I don't know, maybe I'm exaggerating.
8-foot waves or something like that.
I was going to say 8 foot, but I was like, is it 8 or
no, I think I read 8-foot waves.
Something like 100 boats got sunk.
Oh, jeez. Well, and again, it ended with 7-8 deaths up there. That one boat sunk, and it's just terrible. I mean, weather is crazy, and when it can, and again, both of those incidences we were talking about came on suddenly. It wasn't like they had days to plan. Oh, right. like sometimes we know when there's going to be a big storm, and they'll tell us, oh, the winds are going to be high or whatever. Nah, these things just kind of came out of nowhere. And
do you feel like they've gotten better at predicting the weather? Like, generally speaking, when you're a kid, you watch the news guy and he's like, today there's going to be a 50% chance of showers. You're like, 50%? Okay, well, that's pretty vague,
Yeah.
And I mean, I always thought, here's the thing. I always thought if you're like the weather guy in like Sacramento or San Diego, it must be really boring. It's like, today it's going to be 73 degrees.
Yeah, well, we're getting into July. I mean, I can tell you I'll tell you right now, I'm not a professional weatherman, but I'll tell you for the next 2 months, Sacramento's going to be hot.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm just going to tell you, there's a 90% chance Sacramento's going to be hot.
You just did as good as a weatherman would do right now.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I don't know. I think, with technology, and I think, they're getting better at it. So,
yeah.
But
so my daughter went to Tahoe yesterday, I believe, paddleboarding, and it was like beautiful weather. She was posting pictures up there. I'm like, it's crazy. Yeah. Like 2 days ago, people were like dying. And boats were being sunk and then capsizing. And then today it's like, we're out paddleboarding, no big deal.
It was weird. The water was so rough. Tahoe's usually blue and clear and beautiful. And, it looked like the ocean because the waves were even gray and brown from all the sediment.
Yep.
That was just insane. That was crazy. Yeah. No.
That was crazy. Yeah. Obviously, there's a bunch of bigger news going on, too. We have the thing going on in Iran and all that. But we really try to stay away from big politics stuff. Obviously, that's big news. And it's a little scary what's going on. But it is what it is. We're not going to really weigh in on those topics on that stuff. But if there is something that people are watching, if you guys watching and you want us to bring back as a future topic, something that you think is warrants us to talk about on the show, or a guest that you think that we should have on the show, shoot us an email at greatamericanlittletown@gmail.com and let us know. And we'll see if we can make that happen. Or if you want to be a guest, I mean, if you have something to bring to the table, discussion, whatever, I mean, reach out to us and see if there's something we could bring you on and talk about something interesting. So we're going to move on to our next segment, which is called Around Town. So this is where we are going to talk about all sorts of fun things happening in the city of Galt. I think we're going to start off with some sports news. And again, if you have some sports news or you would like to share something that you would like us to mention on air, because there's a lot of sports going on in Galt. Obviously, we're getting ready to come into we're in baseball season still right now, and football season's coming in August, I think, right?
Yeah.
And September.
August.
Anyways,
yep.
So we can't keep up on all that stuff. So if you want to shoot us a message, prior to our shows and be like, hey, you want to mention this, or here's the score of our recent game, want to, something notable that you want us to mention, shoot it to us and we'll mention it. But I would like to give a shout out to the Liberty Ranch stunt team. Makita McCreary, hopefully I said her name right. Makita McCreary was given the MVP for the stunt team for the second year in a row, apparently. So she's quite the
MVP.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. Second year, apparently. So and also congratulations to the stunt team coach, Barbara Welch. She was honored with being coach of the year. And so big honor by her peer coaches, I believe, all sports. So, she's the coach of the stunt team. And I guess they don't call it cheer anymore. It's called stunt. I don't know.
Oh, they have two different things. There is cheer really? And there is stunt. There's two different events. Yeah, two different groups or clubs or organizations or sports.
So what
two different sports. And anybody that thinks that cheerleading or stunt is not a sport, you go try it.
Oh yeah,
because it absolutely is. Absolutely is. Those individuals that participate in both those, it's impressive. It is highly impressive.
So also a shout out to a Galt High student, junior at Galt High. Andriana, hopefully I'm saying her name right, Andriana Rodriguez, was named All-League for the Galt stunt team.
Nice.
And so congratulations to her. And then last but not least, want to give a shout out to Jason Adversalo for being named League Coach of the Year. He was honored being Coach of the Year by the coaches in the league. So
and he's the coach for Liberty
Ranch baseball team. Yeah, sorry, I didn't mention that. Yep. Boys baseball. So congratulations, Jason, and thank you for all your work with the boys. And again, if there's any other thing you'd like us to mention, and if you're watching the show live and you watch on YouTube or however you're streaming it, and you want to jump in our chat, we do have a live chat, and we can see that chat. You can pipe in there like Debbie did earlier and said, "Nice studio." Thanks, Debbie. And you can ask us a question, or you can throw something on there you want us to say, or whatever. So just feel free.
We're talking about sports and stuff. So I want to. There's this coming Saturday, June 28th, from 8 a.m. to noon, in front of the Galt High School. I guess the gym parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
The Galt High Cheer is having a fundraiser car wash. It's $10. So stop by the high school. Give them a donation of 10 if you want to give them a donation of more, and get your car washed and support the Galt High School cheer team.
Absolutely. So have some young ladies that wash if you got a hot rod or a cool car, or if you just have
And I'll tell you what, I don't know if they're going to use some of those funds for uniforms or what they're using them for, but I can tell you that to be a cheerleader, I think it's like $1,500 or some crazy amount of money that for their uniforms and for their clinics and for the things that they participate in. It's not cheap. It is not cheap. So the more the community can go out and support these teams and these organizations, especially the local ones, the youths and stuff, I highly support that. So encourage that.
Absolutely. And with that, I also, like I said, I want to mention some of our sponsors as we go throughout the show. So I would like to mention Nicole Gross from Chandler Gross Realty, local realtors. They are on Lincoln Way in the same office as the Levine Insurance, or actually Galt Insurance is called now. It's right there by the barber shop on the south side of the street. So if you are looking to sell a home and you want to use a realtor who has over 20 years experience, Nicole's very good. And I want to thank her and her team for sponsoring our podcast tonight. So thank you, Nicole. Appreciate that. So,
and when we talk about realtors like Nicole and some of these other ones, a lot of our realtors are longtime Galt residents, and a lot of them are, so it's not, they know the community pretty well and can help people that are wanting to come in
and you know what? That's an interesting thing, because what's amazing to me is when you drive around and you see a realtor sign that's from like some weird company that you never heard of. And I'm like, why would you, it's like John Smith, and it's like some like stock, some place based out of stock, whatever. It's like, if you're selling a Galt home, I don't really understand why you would use unless they're like, oh, my friend, I would, they're good for, I get that people like to use,
my friend's
a realtor, I'm using, I get that probably still happens, but people use a lot of realtors that are not from the community. If you're going to sell a house in Galt, wouldn't you want to use somebody who's very familiar with the Galt community and has been selling homes and buying homes in Galt?
Right.
That just doesn't make sense to use some weird.
Yeah, I don't know. And I'll be honest with you. I think we have some phenomenal realtors in Galt.
Oh yeah.
Again, sure. I think we have a lot of them that have been here a long time. They know the community. They know, the neighborhoods. They know the little quirks about Galt. So I think that's important.
And every city's different, and a lot of our Galt realtors actually do business. They sell and list homes, outside of Galt as well. But I think, like I said, if you're in Galt and if you're not from Galt, but you're looking to move to Galt and you're looking for a home in Galt, I would encourage you to use a Galt realtor.
Right.
Like someone like Nicole, for example, you want to use someone who's familiar with, the neighborhoods, because if you're not from Galt, you don't know what the good neighborhoods are. You may not be familiar with which neighborhoods have like Melrose, which ones have like, different, like
little hidden fees here and there.
HOA fees or landscape lighting fee things.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of things like that on a lot of the homes, especially new ones. Yeah. And so you want to be careful. So, so what else is going on in town? So, coming up on the 4th, actually it's on the 4th, we have the Galt Lions Club is going to be hosting a pancake breakfast. So they do this every year. We're gonna throw a flyer up on the screen here momentarily about this event that the Lions Club's doing. Lions Club, very active in the Galt community. We want to thank all the guys at Lions Club.
Long time organization.
Yep, and always doing great things behind the scenes. But they are doing a pancake breakfast. It's going to be on the corner of 4th and C Street. So, like, I think out in the parking lot right there by the railroad tracks, kind of that old.
Where the depot used to be.
Yeah, where the depot used to be. So, corner of 4th and C. I believe as soon as the flyer comes up, we'll know. So, flyer's up right now. I believe it starts at 8 o'clock in the morning, and it's a $5 pancake breakfast. So you want to go down and get some grub before the parade starts, or if you're down in Old Town setting up your chairs for the parade, a lot of people are doing that. They're getting their stuff set up to claim their spot. Walk on over and get some food right there. Grab some breakfast. Take the kids down there. I mean, that's a great way to get some food before So,
and it's usually a pretty cheap. Was about $5.
It's $5.
Yeah,
it's $5.
That's cheap.
Yeah, you can't eat for $5.
No, you can't.
You can't eat at McDonald's for $5.
Right,
you can get one breakfast sandwich at McDonald's for $5. No.
That's cheap.
Yeah. So thank you to Lions Club. We really appreciate you guys.
Fresh cooked.
And they do this. They've been doing this for at least. I know they did it last year. I think they've been doing it for several years.
They did. I know one year they did it in the ballroom.
Yeah. So So I don't know. Going on.
Well, I want to give a quick shout out to a local business. Saw this it was actually on Facebook here a few days ago. A person put up about Ace Hardware here in Galt. Now, and what they said was that their 80-something-year-old mother just recently moved to Galt and was looking for some patio furniture and a swing. And so they went to Ace Hardware, bought it, and then realized they had no way of getting it to their house. And the owner, or one of the people working at Ace Hardware, basically volunteered to deliver it for free. Not only then did he deliver it, he also put it all together and set it up for her for free, no cost. Yeah. And if you go to some of these other bigger stores in some of these other cities, they're going to charge you $100, $200, $300 for that those extra things.
Small,
nothing's free with them.
That's small town stuff right there.
But yeah. So that's it's one of the good things about living here and some of our local businesses. So shout out to Ace Hardware for doing that for that lady. And that's the kind and it gets recognized. It does get recognized. Again, that person put it on social media. And so that's great.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for sharing that, because we had talked about that and you were saying, hey, I want to share that story, and we had saw it online. And and again, if anybody sees and Killen just mentioned the best thing about Ace Hardware is they have a cat that's named Ace, and the cat just hangs out in the store. If you go on there, the cat's just chilling in there. You ever seen it?
No.
Yeah, it's just walking around there.
Have you ever had their pies?
The pies are made, but no, I've heard about them.
I haven't had one, but they got like fruit pie and cobbler pies and stuff, and supposedly those pies are phenomenal.
They're made by some company
but they're supposed to be really, really good.
Yeah.
So if you want a great pie, go to the hardware store. That's small town. That is small town.
So all this plugging we're doing for Ace Hardware, they're not a sponsor, but we'd love to have you as a sponsor if you're watching. And we can plug you even more. So this is a freebie. No, we appreciate you, Ace. Thank you very much. And speaking of that, I want to mention one of our regular real sponsors. So I want to thank Casey Boyd Insurance, actually in the same building as we're at right now. So she is a farmer's insurance agent, and she can help you with your all your insurance need, basically. And she's been doing it for a long time. And so if you need to get a new quote on your insurance for your home, your auto, or your business, or anything, go see Casey Boyd. She's located at 417 C Street. 417 C Street.
That sounds familiar, John. I've heard of 417 C Street before.
Yeah, in the brick building.
What did that used to be?
Used to be the 417 Club.
Oh, yeah.
Used to be a bar. And before it was a bar for, when we were kids, right? In the 1800s, it was the Phoenix Saloon.
Yeah.
So it's been like a drinking establishment.
Yeah. Well, good. That means next.
So that's why you can drink.
Yeah, next podcast I can drink. And I'll tell you what, if I drink on the next podcast, that'll be the first drink I'll ever have had in the club. I don't think I ever was in. I could tell you.
No, because we weren't old enough when they closed that down.
No,
we weren't 21.
No.
That's a good point. That's an interesting point. Yeah. Very cool. Very cool.
Yep.
So, all right. So anything else in town before we move on to our regular subject? I don't think of anything. If we think something, we'll circle back. But
I got one more thing I want to throw out there real quick. I saw this post also. It says just real quick. This is it says South County Services has funding for utility assistance, PG&E and SMUD. If you have a shutoff or late notice, you can call 209-745-9174. They're located at 1067 C Street. Suite 137. That's kind of important. Power bills are going up, and luckily, we do have SMUD, not PG&E, most of us, but
this time of year.
But this time of year with the heat coming in, so check in if anybody needs assistance. Check in with the South County Services here in town, and sometimes we all need a little help sometimes. So So we're going to move on to our first topic of tonight, which is the Galt IDC Festival, otherwise known as the Independence Day Celebration. We call it IDC, just an acronym. We live in a world of acronyms. It's like everything's like, So anyways, that's what IDC stands for. 4th of July.
4th of July, yeah. For those, the 4th of July. And it's a big deal in Galt. Like we talked about it. I mean, parades. If you have not, so let me just put it this way. If you have not seen the 4th of July parade in the city of Galt, you do not know what you are missing, because it is awesome. Like nothing says small town America like a 4th of July parade, right? Am I wrong?
Yeah, no.
I mean, it is awesome, but it doesn't just kick off the parade. So the city has all kinds of events planned for that day. So it kicks off the day, and we're going to throw some flyers up for some of these events, but the day kicks off with a 5K run. It's called the Kevin Ton Memorial Run. I don't know if that's the official name, but we call it the Ton 5K. It's a 5K run or walk. A lot of people are there walking, and it's basically in memory of Kevin Ton, which was a Galt police officer who was killed in the line of duty some years ago. And so every 4th of July in the early morning. And
what year is this? The 13th run or the? I mean, it's quite a few now.
Yeah,
13th.
The
Yeah,
13th.
yeah,
So 13 years they've been doing this run,
Yeah.
and it's highly participated in.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, it's really cool.
and it kicks off where at City Hall.
You should do it.
Me?
That's your retirement gig right there.
How big? How big is the bear that's going to be chasing me? Because that's the only reason I run.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, you could walk it, but that's still a long ways to walk. Yeah.
I just got back from Vegas, and we walked all over Vegas at 108 degrees, and I'm pretty sure Jen was trying to kill me for my life insurance. So yeah. But I highly recommend everybody else participate in this.
Did you just say your wife was trying to kill you
for my life insurance? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that one right there.
Yeah. Well, I don't know any other reason she'd make me walk that much.
All right.
But it kicks off at City Hall, right? And then it comes back and wraps around, ends back up at City Hall. And so, yeah, that's a great way to start the day. I know a lot of families participated in that. And then they go home and they do their barbecues and swimming and other things. And so
the parade kicks off at 9:00. And we're going to throw a flyer about the parade. So you can pretty much, the parade route, for those of you, just to remind you, is that the parade route is the parade route we've been using for the last couple of years. So it's an altered route from the traditional one that we've used for many years. There's actually been many parade routes, different routes, even in my memory, that they've used. They've kind of tweaked them over the years and did different things. And there's a chance that the parade route will change again, soon. But the parade route currently actually exits the flea market grounds, which is where it stages. All the floats are staged there, and the vehicles and everybody who's participating in that. And then it goes down E Street to the west, goes west down E Street, and then it turns and goes north down 5th Street, and it crosses C in front of the fire station, Station 45, and then it wraps around on B Street, around by Brewster's Restaurant, pops out onto 4th Street, and then it goes all the way south down 4th Street, all the way down back to E Street. So down in front of like the Velvet Grill and, all the businesses that are there on that store on that front. And then it turns and goes back up E Street and returns back to the flea market grounds. If you would like to be in the parade, if you want to be a participant in the parade, because there's tons of people in the parade, like people enter their cars, people enter, make a float,
tractors,
old tractors, old cars, bicycles,
bikes, pedals.
People literally walk in the parade. Like they just want to be a part of the parade. Nothing is cool as being in the parade. I try to participate in it every year, and I have for the most part been every year. And it blows my mind how many people come out to watch it. You come out onto the streets, and you're just like, wow. And it's a little overwhelming, actually.
We should have a podcast float.
Yeah, I mean, maybe in the future, but
we should have done a podcast float. Yeah, I'm disappointed that you didn't think of that.
I'm busy.
You're really starting to let me down.
After my city duties are over, maybe we'll have more time to do that. Yeah. You're the retired person. You go build a float.
Yeah, you don't want me building anything.
So I've built many floats in my days, trust me, and it's a lot of work. But anyways, if you'd like to participate, you can go to cityofgalt.org. There's a right on the main City of Galt webpage, there's a link, and you can click, and it goes to events, IDC, and it'll have the run, and then the parade, and then this and that. You click on that. There's a registration form. You can either drop it off at the Parks and Rec office at on Chambola Avenue by the pool, or you can email it to the city at to jgarcia@cityofgalt.org. I'm going to have Kaylin here throw that up in the chat box. So it's J Garcia, stands for Jackie Garcia. She's the special events coordinator for the city, for the Parks and Recreation Department. And so J Garcia at cityofgalt.org. You can email that form back. So if you want to be in the parade, don't wait. I mean, don't hesitate. Get in there. You will thank me later. It is awesome, and it's always a good time. So,
and talking about the parade, that I remember going as a kid, just a little kid, and how great it was. You line up and it was always fun, right?
But you were telling me a few years ago, and I remember when it was just
but like 16, 17 years ago, I went, and I mean, it literally was like a fire truck, a police car, and maybe 3 or 4 other things. That was it.
There was like 6 vehicles.
So disappointing.
It was almost depressing, really. You were just like, wow, that's it. That's what we've come to.
Yeah.
It was just such,
Yeah.
But then, and I'm blanking her name right now, but so it was taken over by someone, and if someone can remember her name, gosh, it's escaping me. This is what happens when you get old. But anyways, it was taken over, and she ran with it, and
Yeah.
she did a phenomenal job.
Yeah.
With making
It's fun.
bringing that parade back.
I've always enjoyed going and watching, but bring a chair because you don't want to stand up for the whole parade. You definitely want to sit down.
So to give you an idea how long the parade is, if you haven't watched it, if you have watched it, you know how long it is. But so to give you an idea, so like I said, the parade floats, they stage at the flea market grounds, and so they pull out the flea market grounds, and then so it kind of winds around in the market grounds. Everybody stage when you pull in and you check in, they give you a number, and then you go and park in a certain spot. So you get in line basically, right? And everybody's kind of put in line basically. You know, if you have loud music and you don't put loud like animals next to loud music, and they've tried to be very. There's a lot of thought goes into who gets parked where in line in the parade to make it, great experience for everybody. And so last year we went through the entire parade route. So I'm usually since I've been in the city, I usually am in the first few vehicles. Like I'm like maybe 5 or 6 vehicles back or somewhere in that part, maybe a little closer than that. But anyways, so I'm basically in the front part of the parade, right? So we come out of the market grounds. We go through the whole parade route, okay? All through the parade route I described. And we were coming back to the market grounds, and we were going back into the market grounds where we were then going to get off of our vehicle and park and unload whatever. And there were still floats that had not even pulled out of the market ground yet to go onto the parade route. So the whole entire parade route basically went back against itself and doubled it. And that's not the first time. That actually happened the year before. It's the same thing.
Right.
It is absolutely crazy that our parade is that long. I don't know how long it was, but I would say I know the Christmas parade is about the same length, and I think the Christmas parade last year was a couple of hours.
Yeah.
I mean, it just when you thought it was over. So the Christmas parade, I know we're getting off subject, but we're talking about parades. So the Christmas parade, I got back to the market grounds. I got out of the vehicle that I was riding in for the Christmas parade. Walked over to my house, which is about a block and a half away, got in my vehicle, drove my way, which is complicated to find your way over to Old Town again because, they got roads blocked and everything. So I navigated my way all the way around, had to park way down by Quick Stop off F Street. And then I walked 2 blocks to where the coffee shop is. And that's where I was going to watch this. When I got 2 blocks over to the coffee shop, I then proceeded to watch the parade for another 45 minutes.
Well, and before we even get to the parade, before it starts, we need to give a shout out to Public Works and Parks and Rec and all those city employees.
I mean, the planning and preparation that goes into this, and the road closures and PD's out there, and it's very, people talk about the parade route, this and that. If you really think about the parade route, it's very complex because the city of Galt is not very big, and when you close a street, it could be a main artery. It really complicates how people get from one place to the other. So when you close C Street, for example, it's a big thing because then people have to spill over onto A Street, they spill over onto F Street. And then the problem is, but then, with the traditional parade route, the one that went down C, what happens is it actually creates like a circle and it isolates. There's a whole area in Old Town and up into downtown a little bit that's isolated by the parade route. So you can't get to that. You can't drive or get into that center section without crossing the parade route. So you can't drive. So there's businesses that people can't get to. It's a big deal. So when thinking about parade routes and having that discussion, there's a lot of thought that goes into, okay, what do you do with 5,000 or more people when the parade's over? And it was like, okay, let's all go to our car and go back, whatever. They're parked on surface streets or parked in parking lots wherever they could squeeze their car, and now they get those cars. And now how do they get to where they're going to go?
Right.
I mean, it's traffic is pretty bad. And then PD's there navigating traffic, all that after the parade. So once the parade's over, there's still a lot of work to do by PD, and they do all that in the wake of the.
No, and again, Public Works and all that, they do a good job setting up and making sure everything's safe and for the community. And and so far we have the Kevin Tom Memorial Run. That's at 7 a.m.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
8 a.m.
Then the parade starts at 9.
Parade starts at 9.
Mm-hmm. And then what
do I do the rest of the day?
So then you have, there's music in the park. So Veterans Field, which is the soccer field adjacent to the flea market grounds. They have music all through the day out the afternoon and a bunch of festivities. I think they have like jumpy houses and all kinds of fun. There's all so much things I can't remember.
Live music, live bands.
Mm-hmm.
Wow,
out there, and then the tanks. We have the military tanks, so the tanks all park and stage on that grass, and so the people can then the kids can come and go. Oh, let's go check out the military vehicles that we just saw in the parade, and they can come and talk to people.
And this is all Friday, right? 4th of July is Friday this year,
the
right?
The event is on the 4th of July. So the parade and all the activities we're mentioning are on the 4th of July, on Friday, the 4th of July.
Because the city has done it on days that were not the 4th of July before, but we won't get into that.
Well, yeah. Like when it was like on a Monday or something like that. Yeah.
So, but you talked about the tanks, and this is on the 4th of July, all this. Can I go see the tanks on the 3rd of July?
Yeah. So let's talk about the tanks a little bit. I mean, there's a whole history of how those tanks got here, but if you want to see the tanks, so Paul and Amy Sandu. So Paul Sandu is our vice mayor. He and his family, they own the Best Western Hotel over on North Lincoln Way. And every year they, because the tanks come into town early, and they kind of come in the night before and get off stage, because it's a big logistical thing to get all those military vehicles here. And they take them over to the Best Western, and they put them in the parking lot there, and they host a free barbecue, which the flyer should be up on your screen right now, as a free barbecue. So this is free. The food is free. There's no charge. Show up, hot dogs, hamburgers. I forget all what they cook, but it's all free drinks. They have some volunteers there cooking.
The Velvet Grill's usually there with ice cream too, isn't
Velvet Grill's there,
yeah,
with some ice cream. Kirk's usually there. The owner of Velvet Grill is usually there scooping ice cream, which is great. And I'm
pretty sure they're one of our sponsors.
Yep,
so,
Velvet Grill. Big shout out to Velvet Grill right here behind me. Yes. And so and it's actually, this is also sponsored by one of our other sponsors, which is River Rock Brewery. So thank you to them for being a part of that.
Yeah.
And so Ed's there.
And they're located right next to the Best Western right there.
Yep.
So
and we'll be talking about them in a minute. They're so since we're talking about them, River Rock Brewery, a local brewery here in Galt, located on North Lincoln Way. And I'm actually going to tell you exactly where they're located. So their exact address is 608 North Lincoln Way. And they are open 6 days a week from 3 to 8, and from on Friday 3 to 9. And they're actually open at noon on Saturdays and Sundays. So if you want a cold beer, go by there. They have all kinds of different beers.
Right between the Best Western and Giddon Brothers.
Yep, between Best Western, and it's like a commercial looking building. Yep. So go over there and get a cold one. And again, thank you to Ed and his team at River Rock for sponsoring our podcast. We appreciate that.
No, Sean, I got a question for you real quick. We're bringing tanks and we're driving them on the city roads. How come they don't tear up the roads?
Yeah, so these tanks. So first of all, these tanks are brought to Galt by an organization called the Eagle Field Foundation. So the Eagle Field Foundation and its leader, I guess you call him Doug Bowles, super cool guy, really into like history and military vehicles. His whole organization is a bunch of guys who they rescue military vehicles from all eras. World War I, World War II, Vietnam era, Korea, even modern stuff, Afghanistan, Iraq War, even all up into current. They rescue these vehicles and they restore these vehicles and try to restore them to their original condition, and then they use them to go to cities all over, and they do not just parades, but they do shows. They do Memorial Day events. They're really big on Memorial Day stuff. They recently did a World War I exhibition in a city recently, where they just set up this whole encampment. It looks like all World War I, and they got some really cool vehicles. And what's really cool is the vehicles they bring to Galt. He told me this once. They go to other cities and do parades with these vehicles, but they bring the most vehicles to Galt.
Really?
So what that means is they don't go to any other city where they bring as many vehicles to those other cities as they do to Galt. And that says something.
And they try to bring variety, right? They try to bring something different every year or something.
Sometimes a mix up. You don't bring the same stuff every year. Some stuff's recurring, but they usually bring multiple vehicles. Yeah. And you go back to your question about the tracks. So they actually put these special rubber tracks on in place of the metal ones, so they won't tear up the asphalt, because they will tear up the asphalt. Because tracked
they're
vehicles,
heavy. Some of those vehicles are heavy.
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
The weight alone on some of those vehicles is. Now, if I go, and I've actually, I don't know if I've ever actually been to the thing the night before, but if I go the night before, I can actually get up close and personal with some of these vehicles.
Oh, 100%. So if you go to Best Western on the Thursday night, July 3rd, in the evening for the barbecue that we posted the flyer for, you can actually climb around in the tanks. Your kids can climb in the tanks. They can play around with the stuff. There's people there, and you can tell you all about them. And the guys can show you what's what on the tanks, and it's just you can get pictures in them. It's really, really cool.
Can I shoot the tanks?
I don't think they'll let you shoot the tanks, Dan. Well, but yeah,
I was just wondering.
Yeah, sorry.
That'd be fun.
Yeah. So I've ridden in the tanks many times. I've ridden them in the parade. I've ridden in them. One year we actually drove one over to Cal Waste, because Cal Waste was a sponsor. of getting the tanks here, and I'll talk about that a little bit. But we drove down like Pringle Avenue in one of the tanks, and I'll tell you what, riding in one of those tanks, like what the one I was like an APC, wasn't actually like a tank with the turret. That thing did like 40 miles an hour, and we were going like 40 down the street, and we were passing cars, and people were like, "What the heck?"
Was it a nice smooth ride?
It was, but it's super loud. I mean, you
Really?
hear the track. Oh yeah, it's like I think I remember correctly. I think we had earphones on.
Like
So
like
loud.
riding in the tin can.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really loud, and it's super claustrophobic in those things too. It's
Yeah.
like you're in there tight spaces and everything. It's yeah.
Mm.
So the tanks. So the tanks. I want to tell people how those tanks started coming here. So originally, a community member, Frank Duell, we call him Frank the Tank. If anybody knows who Frank the Tank is, and I think that might have been how he got the name Frank the Tank. But he used to bring those vehicles here, and it cost a lot of money to bring those vehicles here. At the time it was like $7,000 or $8,000 because there's fuel, logistics. They come from a long ways off. You have to put them on special transport trucks to bring them here. They can't just drive them up here.
Right.
And then you have to there's fuel, which is expensive. They all run on diesel and everything else. And then you have, the whole crew, the maintenance crew, the drivers and all that have to come, and you have to feed them, and you have to put them up for the night and all that. And so there's a lot of logistics involved in that, and it comes at a cost. And so Frank used to organize that. He would get that money from local sponsors, local businesses in town. And one of those was Velvet Grill. Shout out again to Velvet Grill. Kirk has always been very generous. And he was one of the sponsors that would put forth money to bring those vehicles here. And so Frank did that for a few years, and then Frank has gone through some health issues, and so in 2018, he came to me. It's 2017 and 2018, I can't remember. He came to me and said, "Sean," he's like, "Hey, I need your help." He's like, "We need to get the tanks here. I just can't do it anymore. I need somebody to take the baton and do that." And I'm like, "Yeah, we need the tanks here. I mean, we got to continue this." So I took it upon myself to continue that tradition. So I went out and pounded the pavement and tried to raise the money to get the tanks here, and went back to some of the previous sponsors. I remember going into Kirk and was like, "Kirk, we need to raise this money. Would you be willing to come in as a sponsor of any sort? Anything you could donate would help." And he's like, "Well, what did I do last year?" And I'm like, "Well, last year you don't need $1,000." And he's like, "All right, well, I'll do $1,000 again." And I was like, "Really? Like you would do that?" He's like, "Yeah, absolutely." I mean, just shows the generosity of him. And so, and then Calway stepped up, and they were a sponsor, and I had several people that became sponsors and chipped in money to bring those tanks here.
Yeah.
And we raised the money, and we got them here, and we did that for a couple years, and then we were able to find some finances through the city, and now the city actually budgets that money into the IDC festival
Good
thing. And so now the city is paying to have those tanks here every year, and it is a really cool thing to have them here. It's all about like America and
well, I one of the things I think is nice is not just the tanks aren't here for just the parade. Like it's not just a 1-day event. Again, you go the night before, you can go down, take a look at them, check them out, get close to them, talk to the guys that are there with them, get more information about them. So I think the nice thing is it's a whole couple of days that the city benefits from having the tanks here.
And those guys that are with the tanks, the tank crew and stuff, those guys are they're like history buffs, right? They know all about history. They dress the part and all that. And in talking to some of those guys, and if you go to that barbecue over at the Best Western on the 3rd, chat with some of these guys, and they'll tell you all the cool stuff that they get to do. But a lot of them were extras in movies.
Oh, nice.
They've been in military movies. Like a couple of those guys were actually in Saving Private Ryan as
Really?
like just background people. They were in We Were Soldiers, I think, with the one with Mel Gibson.
Yeah.
And I forget what the other one was. There were several well-known military movies.
Band of Brothers or
I don't
something,
know if
maybe.
they were in Band of Brothers, but you could ask them. But they were in those, and it's just really cool. These guys are really into it. And
that's cool.
Yeah. And driving in the tanks. Let me tell you a quick story. It's a true story. So 2 years ago, I think it was 2 years, maybe it was 2 or 3 years ago. So I was riding in almost the front of the parade in one of the military tanks. I don't do it every year because I like some of the other people to be able to ride in the tanks. And so I kind of drive my own vehicle sometimes, or I ride with somebody else or whatever. But I did enjoy doing the tank. So I'm in the tank and we're pulling through. And then, this thing it's super hot outside. It's 4th of July. It's like, it's cramped inside. The guy driving in the tank down. I'm up at the top, out the top hatch, right? And so he's down inside. and we're just about to come to the edge of the thing, and we're getting the motion. Okay, pull out. We're just about ready to pull out on the street to the parade route, and this is on C Street right by the Littleton Center. And there's like thousands of people, like it's like 10 people deep on the sidewalks, right? Cheer, everybody's watching the parade. It's just like huge, right? And the tank's all bro, and it and it dies, and they're like, well, something's wrong. And the guy's yelling from inside. He's all got hydraulic fluid spewing everywhere inside the vehicle. It was all over him, the hydraulic fluid. And they're like on their walkie-talkies, and this guy comes running up, and he like jumps under the front of the tank, and he's under there, and he's like, hand me some wrench. And they're like, and these guys are jumping into action. And I swear to God, it was like 5 minutes, and they're like, we got it fixed. We got a Band-Aid. We're ready to roll. Fired up. Starts the tank up, and we took off. I mean, those guys, it was like they were like a NASCAR pit crew.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was stoked.
Wow.
that they were able to make like on the fly repair.
Yeah.
With fluid everywhere. And the guy's like, I'm good. He's like wiping the stuff off him. And he just started driving again. And it's hot, and he's in the tank, and he's got fluid all over him.
Yeah.
And these guys hammered it out, man.
Jeez.
It was cool. So props to those guys.
Yeah.
Props to Doug and his crew and his guys, because you guys are rock stars, man. It's really cool.
That's crazy.
So anyway, so that's the background on the tanks. So don't miss it. Again, barbecue the night before, Best Western on the 3rd of July. And then, of course, the parade. And then after the parade, Veterans Field, you can check that stuff out again. And
the Tawn walk and run first, then parade. The Veterans Field. What else? Swimming in the pool? Is there something in the pool?
Yeah,
or something?
Fireworks in the pool. I don't know if we have a flyer for that one, but there's fireworks in the pool. And again, you can check all this stuff out on the City of Galt's webpage. But they have a fireworks in the pool where you can go, and kids can actually be in the pool, and they can watch the evening fireworks show from the pool. It's really cool, actually.
And the fireworks are shot off at the flea market grounds?
At the flea market grounds, yeah. Yep. So the whole night culminates with the fireworks show.
And that's what, about 9 o'clock or so?
It's usually right at when it starts to get dark, like at dusk, right? So they don't do it in the daylight. So right when it starts to get dark,
and it's the only fireworks in Galt that should be shot up in the air.
Right. Yeah.
Let's make that perfectly clear.
Yeah. Be safe, people, with the fireworks. So before we move on, I want to talk about fireworks a little bit too, because we did something at the city locally that should be talked about. But before I move on, I just want to one time again mention our sponsor, Velvet Grill. Velvet Grill is located at 400 D Street. They're open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and they're kind of like your Americana diner kind of place. Friendly staff, good food. Like I said, owner's super generous. So please, if you're looking to eat somewhere, I know it's easy to go out of town and eat. And a lot of people do it, but you know what? Just go spend your money local and go check out Velvet Grill and give back, because I can tell you what, the owners of Velvet Grill have given to this community big time. So
for sure.
Yeah, and also too, I want to mention another one of our sponsors is NorCal Spreading, which I think their logo's up here. Local family, the Matos family, and they are in the ag business, and they've been in business for over 20 years. And actually, they've been very generous and been sponsors of some things that related to the Old Galt Festival we did. They were a sponsor of some things there, and I think they're going to be driving a vintage tractor, an old Farmall tractor,
nice.
A red one, in the parade. So if you see an old Farmall, a 1944 Farmall, I think in the parade, that would be the owner,
nice.
Mr. Matos.
Nice. Yeah.
And so. Yeah, so I want to thank you for sponsoring our show. We appreciate it.
Mr. Matos.
Mr. Yeah. Don't let it go to your head.
Yeah, getting all official now. Yeah, I don't know about Mr. Matos.
Yeah. So I wanted to bring, the fireworks thing up, because we recently, illegal fireworks in Galt have been a real big deal.
Yeah.
People are always telling me, like, what can we do more about the illegal fireworks? People are, worried about fires. Obviously, everything's hot and dry right now.
Well, there's a lot of dry lots of land in different places around town.
Yeah.
You don't want to burn somebody's house down.
Yeah. Speaking of which, we had a really good friend of the family who they believe the fire was started by fireworks that landed in the neighbor's yard.
Was that last year or the year before?
It was last year.
Yeah.
Yeah. On the 4th of July, they lost their house, and the neighbor lost their house too.
Yeah.
It was an elderly couple, good friends of our family. They basically got out of the house and really didn't save hardly anything. Like the whole house burnt to the ground on the 4th of July. I mean, can you imagine you're celebrating this great American holiday, and you have to get pulled away? Like, they were supposed to, so their son, my good friend, their family's supposed to be coming over to our place to watch the fireworks from my place, because I live right by the market, and so you can see the fireworks. It's a great viewing area. So we kind of chill in the front yard and hang out and watch the fireworks. And he was like, they weren't showing up, and come to find out, they were at their parents' house. The parents' house was on fire. And so, I mean, it's just a tragedy.
From an illegal fire.
From an illegal fire. That they believe that's what it was from. Yeah.
And here's the issue I have with them. Look, I've been to the Midwest where you can buy them and shoot them off and everything, and that's fine. But the problem is that everybody thinks, it's never going to happen to me. I'm responsible. I know what I'm doing, right? It just takes that one. And that's what happened with that house.
Yep.
It was just one that landed in some place, caught fire, and now the whole house. And it's two families.
Yeah. And not only that, but you got, you got to remember that when we have fireworks shows in Galt, the big, these, when you have the professional fireworks thing, there's a lot of people in Galt that have pets. I mean, I have lots of pets. I mean, pets are big deals for people, right? A lot of dogs, they actually give them something to kind of calm them down. Right. They prepare for that, right? So when you're out there shooting off mortars from Mexico or wherever you got them, or from whatever, that you think it's fun to do that, and you're freaking out somebody's dog or cat, that those people weren't prepared to do that, and then the the dog gets scared and runs off, and now they've lost a beloved pet. Yeah, freaked out. This happens all the time.
For a week before and a week after, come on, use common sense.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Consider your neighbors. Consider your the people that you live in this community with, and don't be so selfish, because that's really all it is, in my opinion. It's just selfishness.
Yeah. So with that being said, we really thought about, what can we do more to really combat this use of illegal fireworks at the city level, right? So this year we had a discussion. It was, I believe last month, we brought forward a the email is going to be, somebody's asking about our email. Killen's going to post it in the chat. It's greatamericanlittletown@gmail.com. Very simple. So at the city, we decided to beef up our municipal code regarding fireworks.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and a lot of cities are cracking down on fireworks. Yeah.
So what we did is we ramped up the fine levels. They're very steep now. I mean, I'm not even joking. Like, I believe, and again, it's at the discretion of the officer that comes if we feel like it's negligent. So first of all, let me back up a little bit. So we have it worded now where the property owner can be responsible.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, if I'm at your house, and I shoot off illegal fireworks, and they can track it down to your house,
I could be held responsible.
You're the one.
Yes. Now, if I can say, look, this guy shot something off, and I didn't know he was bringing illegal, and I told him, hey man, you can't do that. You need to leave if you're going to be doing that. Whatever. The officer can use his discretion. Then there's some discretion to be made there, right?
If you can catch the guy, they can find the guy, but otherwise it's the property owner.
But they really have the ability to pin it on the property owner, so that you need to watch your guests and make sure nobody's bringing illegal stuff. But some of the fines are upwards of $5,000.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, and I know it sounds like a lot, but look, somebody lost their house that was probably worth $500,000, and
I think there was a story out of Sacramento or someplace last year, because they can fine based on the fireworks too, or something. Like there's something, like there was somebody that got a fine of like $100,000 or something last year from having illegal fireworks. Yeah. Like I know there's something that can compound on that fine.
Yeah, I don't remember what it is. I don't know if ours is like that, but anyways, but we changed where the property owner could be held responsible. So and then we also upped the fine levels, which I described, and then also we are doing we're deploying additional resources. So the PD is partnering with code enforcement, and the PD is going to be having their drones out that night. Going to be having additional officers on bicycles and things like that to be traveling around and really kind of, observing and try to catch people that are using illegal fireworks. So I'm just giving you pre-warning. If I see somebody on Facebook saying, oh, I was lighting off some fireworks, I was just trying to have a good fun, just trying to celebrate, America's birthday, and a police officer showed up and gave me a fine. It's like, if it was illegal fireworks, man, I mean, look, you know what?
Yeah. Well, and here's the other thing people have to remember. There are a bunch of, I think there's 9, maybe less, 7 of these fire booth stands, fireworks stands locally, who are selling legal fireworks for the state of California.
And they're all nonprofits that have been approved.
All nonprofits. They're all local nonprofits within the community. You've got the FFA, you've got, some of the sports teams, you have some of the Lions Club, some of them I think have one, Rotary maybe has one. But so go buy those. Go buy those. I know they seem like sometimes you go, God, they seem kind of expensive. The money stays in this community. The money you're spending on those fireworks stays in this community because you're supporting local non-profits and you're buying legal fireworks.
And those booths are set up right now. I believe they start selling this weekend.
Yeah,
from what my understanding. And so they're up there in the parking lot where the California Burrito is now, formerly Burger King.
The ones within the city are there.
Yeah. So those are the ones. Those are the ones that are the nonprofits. So there's the big digital billboard by the highway. That little parking lot right there. That's kind of across the street from Les Schwab.
Yep.
On the Fairway Drive. It's right there in that lot, and they're going to start selling this weekend. So if you're going to buy fireworks, please go buy them locally. Visit one of our local nonprofits so the money goes to the right place.
And there are a couple of booths on Twin Cities. There's one where the new Mexican restaurant is on by the roundabout there on the west side. But that, and I'm pretty sure that's the FFA one.
Okay.
So there are some that are you'll see on Twin Cities. And you'll go, well, I thought all the booths were in the one location in town. Those are located on the county side of the road. But they're still local nonprofits. I think there's one across from Rayleigh's even. But again, it's on the county side. All city firework booths are located across from Les Schwab.
Right, exactly. And so, anyway, I just want to remind everybody, just be courteous to your neighbors with the fireworks, and and if you're lighting off fireworks, even the legal kind, out in front of your house, whatever, be conscious, be safe. You don't want to hear about people getting hurt. And, I mean, because it seems like you don't want to mark like
keep the kids away. Don't
holiday with tragedy.
Don't let a 5-year-old light off a firework.
Yeah. Keep
the kids away. Don't try to set off 10 of them at the same time so you can get this spectacular show. I mean, and use a bucket. Get a bucket with water. Throw the old ones in the bucket. Let them sit overnight. Don't just throw them in your trash can. Again, we don't need fires. We don't need fires. The firemen in this town and our community are busy enough. We don't need to add to it by being irresponsible.
Yeah, exactly. So I want to remind everybody that's watching that we are going to, before the end of our show, which is we're going to be wrapping up soon. We have our $100 Walmart gift card. We're going to be doing a raffle. So stay tuned. We'll be announcing our special word for the night that you can email to greatamericanlittletown@gmail.com, or you can message us through Instagram. Message us the word that we will give you in a little while, and also your name so that we can enter your name into our raffle. And
one last quickly on fireworks. And the city of Galt puts on a great fireworks show, and it doesn't cost you a dime.
Yep.
Park in the Save Mart parking lot, park on the city street, park somewhere nearby if you're not in the area. Galt does a great fireworks show every year. Hats off to the city. I think. I will commend them on that. I think they do. 4th of July, I think, as a whole, is done very, very well within the city.
It's like called Super Bowl. Really.
It is. Yeah.
And the fireworks. The best place to view them, if you don't live in the vicinity of the fireworks, where you can get the best. They have Veterans Field, where I mentioned where all the tanks and all the music are. So they literally have that music playing that night. With the fireworks going on. Veterans Field is wide open. You can walk in there. You can pop your chairs down, your lawn chairs, and you can watch the fireworks right from there. Or anywhere by the softball complex, there's a grass lining the whole outskirts. There's lots of places you can just pop your chairs down and watch.
Right.
It doesn't have to be in the
blanket. Bring your blanket, a chair, whatever. Yeah.
Or just pull up outside the softball complex. If you have a pickup truck, drop the tailgate down, throw some chairs in the back of your pickup truck.
Yep.
That works too.
But and I will say, if you are going to go park in some of the business parking lots or anything like that, give those businesses a little business.
Yeah.
Show them some support.
Yeah. I don't know that there's a lot of businesses in that area though that's in that.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying, buy a soda or buy some like cookies or something, or something. Yeah, it's something to drink, coffee or something.
Yeah. So I want to mention one of our other sponsors while we're talking. That's Frontier Performance Lubricants. So Frontier Lubricants, they do custom lubricants for agriculture industry. They do for construction, industrial, the food industry, all sorts of things. They've been in business for over 20 something years. I'll have a little better bio on them next time, but they are a family operated business, multi-generational, I believe. Have many long-term employees that have been there over 20 years. Very good company to work for. Very involved in the community, very involved with the Chamber of Commerce, and their office is based, and they're actually all over California. They have satellite offices, but they're based in Galt, in the industrial area, and so they are a wholesaler of these products. So we just want to say thank you to Frontier Performance Lubricants for sponsoring our podcast. We really, really appreciate the support. So thank you for that. And I think we are at 8:11, so a few more minutes here, and we're going to get to that special word that everybody's waiting for. So we talked a little bit about the the old parade. Correct me if I'm wrong, Dan, but the old Galt Festival used to be on the 4th of July, right? It was around that weekend.
Around that weekend, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And they used to have that at the flea market grounds.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the market grounds, I call it the flea market because I'm old school, but the market grounds. And it was, they used to have like all the carnival rides, and they had the old beer garden,
Mm-hmm.
and they had all the little festivities and all that. I remember that as a kid. It was so cool.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, it was a blast. It was a blast. That's when Galt came together. Yeah. And everybody, if you wanted to see anybody in town at that time, everybody in Galt was there. And, and of course, we were kids. I was just a kid, but I remember, asking mom and dad for, we need some money for the rides or for cotton candy or whatever, or, the Lions Club used to have their bingo. The bingo game where you throw the softball and
I think you used to win like a canned ham or something.
Yeah, bacon, like slab of bacon, or
slab of bacon.
Yeah.
Come play bingo, win a slab of bacon.
Which nowadays that's like $10. I mean, that's
But I think it's funny. It's like win a slab of bacon. So and they had the beer gardens, and there was all the the guys there, power drinking, right, and the little.
Hey, you just smell. I can remember going to the entrance.
You just smell like Coors Light or whatever.
Well, you go to the entrance, you'd be like, "Could you go get my dad?" Or
yeah, is my dad in there? Is my uncle? Yeah. Is my uncle over there? And you have like, you'd have the drunk uncle, and he'd be like, "Dan, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Oh, you're looking for your dad? He's over here."
Yeah, but everybody knew everybody too. Everybody knew whose kid you were. Everybody knew everybody. So
that's true small town stuff right there. I'm telling you. Yeah, so I want to make sure I mention one of our other important sponsors too, Parker Realty. So thank you so much to Maddie and Devin and their team at Parker Realty. Parker Realty has been selling houses in Galt for, I think they have like combined with all their agents, I think they have like over 200 years experience if you combine all the decades worth of experience from all their agents. And
Maddie's a third generation
from Parker. Yeah, exactly. And so Maddie and my daughter went to high school together.
Oh yeah,
we played softball together. Yeah. So we want to thank and actually Maddie and Devin sold my house, my old house 6 years ago when we sold our house over on the over in the Bird Streets.
We
moved to the house I'm in now. They sold our house. We're very happy with them. They do a great job. And so if you're looking to buy or sell a home in Galt, Parker Realty is a great option. We'll talk a little bit more about them on a future episode. But so thank you again, Maddie and Devin and Parker Realty for believing in our show and being one of our sponsors. We appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you.
Yeah. So is there anything else we wanted to touch on before we kind of wrap up with our raffle information and we talk about our next show coming up next week? I don't know if there's something else we want to mention.
I don't know. Did I tell you that I retired? Have I told you that yet?
You retired from? No, I don't think.
Did I tell you that? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Did I tell you that I'm jobless and I might need employment? So
rubbing it in.
If anybody's looking to hire,
I told you.
I don't work hard. I don't, just an easy, if you just want to pay me to be someplace, I can do that.
Like if you need like he's good at like licking ice cream cones.
Yeah. I'll be a taste tester for a whiskey or beer.
Taste beer. Yeah. If you need him to I got those people that jump around the corners with the signs.
Yeah. No, that's too much activity. That's way too hot. Too much activity.
Audiobooks. I'm telling you, you need to do audiobooks.
I only work in air conditioned locations. Yeah. I've got a list of rules.
I got one for you.
Yeah.
And all honestly, grow the beard out. You need to be Santa. You could have a Santa gig.
Well, I don't know. My lap's not very big anymore. My
practice your ho ho ho. Yeah. All right. So
my singing career. I've sang the national anthem twice.
So we talked about it before. We got to remember to talk. We don't have time tonight, but we're going to talk about this. When Dan sang true story. Dan sang the national anthem at the Dairy Bowl. Was it not the Dairy Bowl? It was the Dairy Bowl.
Was it the Dairy Bowl?
Yes, because it was like the place was packed.
No, I don't think it was the Dairy Bowl, but
Dan, it was the Dairy Bowl.
I don't remember that.
I think it was.
I'm pretty sure they had somebody lined up for that.
Or it was homecoming.
Maybe it was homecoming.
It was one of those. But anyways, there was a lot of people there, and it was like
gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah. We'll talk about that later.
The show must go on.
That's
baby.
Right. Yeah. So shout out to Azevedo Quality Harvesting, another local family-owned ag business. Does hay hauling and cutting, and I want to thank Bert Azevedo and his family for sponsoring our show. Thank you very much. We appreciate it, and we appreciate even the small business. And these are all small businesses, that are sponsoring us. So we appreciate all of it. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them. So I just can't stress that enough.
Yeah, thank them.
Yeah. So before we get to our special word that everybody's waiting for, I want to talk about, so next week, we're going to be on July 2nd, Wednesday evening, 7 o'clock as usual. I have a great show planned. We're going to have a couple of our local realtors on. Actually, we're going to have 2 guests on part of the show and then another later on the show. And we're going to be talking about Galt real estate. We're going to talk about all things that has to do with Galt real estate. We're going to talk about the marketing Galt. We're going to talk about trends. We're going to talk about pricing. We're going to have a lot of data to share. We're going to talk about some of the new development and how that's impacting home prices and things like that. A lot of great information. If you're looking to buy or sell a home, we will be sharing some great information and some insights for you. So please do tune in.
We're bringing in the pros.
Yeah, bringing in the heavy hitters.
Yeah.
And we'll be talking about it. It should be a great show. And so, and again, we have, so each time we wrap up a show, we'll be talking about our next show and what we have planned. And we have some great guests lined up. We got a great list of things we're going to have. We're going to have some, and I don't want to, just give it up too much, but we have some great topics and some great people that we're going to have on in the weeks ahead. So I'm really excited about it. Yeah. So with that, we're going to wrap up, but we want to conclude with, again, our raffle for our $100 Walmart gift card. So again, the word for this week's episode is is going to be, the word is Independence Day. Independence Day is the phrase. So you can message Independence Day to us on Instagram, or you can email us at greatamericanlittletown@gmail.com and just say, my name is so-and-so, and the word is Independence Day. We will enter your name in the raffle for 1 ticket. And next week, if you watch the episode, we'll enter you again. We'll give you a different word. So again, Independence Day is the word. And even if you're watching this show back, like you're not watching it live, but you watch it tomorrow or the next day or whatever, you can still send us. We just need that word before the next episode comes. So it's basically proof that you watched the show. So, and then the drawing is when again? The drawing is going to be July 23rd. So we're going to give you guys plenty of times to get some more tickets in there and be able to participate in that drawing. So, but be sure to like, be sure to share. Like our Instagram. We have 150 followers on our Instagram already. I just launched it like a few days ago. It's pretty good. Yeah, I'm pretty excited. So thank you, everybody. It's all those artistic pictures you've been putting up. Yeah, it's pretty fancy. Yeah. So that's a microphone. That's a light. Yeah. That's a chair. But they're not. They're like, ooh, beautiful. Like if I sold that microphone, I'd use your picture as an advertisement to sell that microphone. We bought some quality stuff. It was pretty nice. We got some new equipment in here, and we've been busting our butts in here creating this studio. I know y'all can't see it except just here, but this room we've been working on it. My daughter and I, Kaylin, who's working behind the scenes. A shout out to Kaylin off screen. You can't see her, but she's the one in the chat, and she's running the stream for us. Thanks to her. I actually did the majority of the work. Yeah. Dan was in Las Vegas. And then where were you before that? I forget where you're like, oh, it looks great. Oh, it looks great from Vegas. Yeah. I was busy. No, he's been busy though. It's fine. But Kaylin and I, she's a rock star. No, you guys, I'm going to give you both shout outs. You guys have done a phenomenal job turning, what just a few weeks ago was just this little tiny room into a studio that's actually really, really nice, really great. Yeah. You guys have done a ton of work. So, well, thank you. Yeah. It looks good. Yeah, we're excited. So with that, again, shout out to the Galt Chamber, Velvet Grill, Chandler Gross Group, Frontier Lubricants, River Rock Brewery, Parker Realty, NorCal Spreading, Azevedo, Quality Harvesting, and last but not least, Mr. Sean Farrell for all your support of our show. Thank you very much, everybody. We appreciate that. And if anybody else wants to sponsor, reach out, email, Instagram, contact Sean. We're always looking for additional sponsors as well. So absolutely. So we can need all the help you out because we're not a profit. We're not for profit here. So we're just trying to bring something to the community. One of us isn't for profit. Yeah. So again, I want to thank everybody for watching, and we are going to bow out now. And again, next week, July the 2nd, Wednesday, 7 p.m. Please tune in and support our show. And until next time, we will see everybody then. So good night, everybody.